I will refill a miser of atties.
A miser of addies. And the stream is live.
Oh dear, we're live.
Oh no. Oh no. Ah!
Yeah, alright.
Sorry, I get oddly excited.
Do you? You know what? I completely forgot. I haven't set your shot up properly yet because I was tinkering with it the other day. Edit shot.
And we're on live page.
Hey.
Hooray! Oh, good. Yes, Trev, we are live. So, hello, everybody in the chat.
Oh, there they are. You're waving at them now, aren't you, Lucky?
Yeah.
Ah, Keith says evening, Matt. Evening plaything. All shall be revealed later.
Dun dun dun.
Why is Keith Matt's plaything?
No F words this evening. Oh, there's a shot of me on full screen. Wow.
Yes. Are you watching yourself, Ridian?
I am indeed watching myself because I am looking forward to what you may be showing later. Even though I did have a sneaky peek of it, it's the first bit that I didn't see.
Ah. See, Rob is curious now. Plaything? Haha. Hopefully Matt has recovered from Sunday. Was I drunk?
Your epic 3 hours.
That would have been funny if I was.
That would have been awesome. You got 2 minutes.
Oh, okay. Oh yeah, I'm supposed to be saying things, aren't I? Oh dear.
You got 2 minutes where you're allowed to say nothing.
Oh, okay, fair enough. We'll sit here in silence.
Yeah.
Rocking gently back and forth like creaky chairs.
That's what I'm doing.
Yeah, that's it, Rid.
Sorry, Matt. Sorry, I'm just rocking back and forth in excitement in anticipation for a week Friday.
What happens a week Friday?
Friday before Vape Fest.
Oh, yeah. Meh.
Meh.
I still haven't decided if I'm going to go or not yet. Or if I even can. There's another thing as well.
Yeah, that's the thing for me. I don't think I can. I got 1 minute.
1 minute. 1 minute remaining.
1 minute.
Eine kleine Minuten.
Come on, you lurkers, not long left. Get into chat. Stop lurking, it makes me nervous.
They're not going to pounce on you from the shadows, you know.
30 seconds.
Right up. Oh, I'll get the filler up now.
Okie dokie.
Happy Wednesday, or Windows 10 Day. Who's upgraded? Come on, admit to it. Have you not, Rid? Okay. Right, tonight then. Tonight is DNA 200 night. Pretty much entirely, I think, actually. Well, you're going to be sick of it all. It's just like DNA 40 all over again, but with more numbers. Okay, right. Yeah, titles. Cinema.
Joytech UK are proud sponsors of VapeTrails.tv.
Apparently today's hump day, according to Bernice. You saying you're not telling us?
But she hasn't had any dry or otherwise humping.
Oh, okay. Oh.
Poor Dab.
Yeah. Well. Right then. Yeah. So as said at the top of the show. Oh, say hello to Ridian, by the way. I forgot to say hello to Ridian.
I'm here. Hi.
Hello. Right. Yeah. So, Sunday. You may have seen my marathon live stream of 3 hours, where I built a DNA 200 mod. Took a bit longer than I anticipated, really. Lots of things didn't happen correctly and stuff. Anyway, I have condensed it to 9 minutes and 50 seconds.
Impressive. Impressive.
Yeah, I cut out most of the mistakes. Guess how many mistakes they were? Right, so...
And the swearing, no doubt.
No, there wasn't much swearing, actually. You didn't watch live, did you?
No.
Yeah, have you watched it at all? You can say no, it's 3 hours long.
I wanted to, but I didn't. Because it'd be out of my league at the moment. Even though it's just soldering and stuff, it's like,
Yeah.
It's still technical.
Oh, well. Right, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to play the 9 minutes and 50 seconds of condensed VT. And then we'll have a little chat about what happened on Sunday. And then other stuff. So we'll see you in a minute. So I need to make sure. There we go. So that was a very condensed version of what happened on Sunday. If you're curious about the whole thing, there is the entirety of the 3-hour video is available on our YouTube channel. So if you want to lose the will to live, go watch it, or just skip through bits. But obviously I'll cut all the talking and out, just put music over it, just to just to give you an idea. But yeah. So watch it. Watch all the mistakes that I made, and I made a lot of mistakes. So I was getting more and more flustered and stressed of it. So I wasn't chinning my tip, that sort of thing. And to the silly bugger that put a comment on the YouTube video saying worst soldering I've ever seen, yeah, you try doing it live, sunshine. It ain't that easy. But there we go. Yeah. So this is the build. This is the very one. Well, it's still working. Yeah, it's a great mod, and I for one cannot wait until you can actually buy pre-built ones in the anywhere. I think the only one available is in the States, and it's the Opus D, I think.
I've come across that while browsing for DNA boards. So it shouldn't be too long before something like that's over here.
Well, another Vapor Shark are doing one, and that's going to be quite imminent. But expect it to be a bigger mod than you're used to. I mean, for example, I can't imagine Vapor Flask doing one in this form factor, because it does require at least 3 18650 batteries or a 3-cell LiPo pack. You can't just run it on one 18650 or two. You just can't. So
yeah, you're probably looking at a Sigelli 100 type height and then a little bit wider, I'm guessing.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, you can get, say, the 900 milliamp hour LiPos batteries are quite small. I think the reference build that Evolve did was about the size, maybe a bit bigger than an SX Mini M class. So you can crunch it down a fair amount, but obviously your battery life's going to suffer. But yeah, I mean, this is the one I built on Sunday in a pre-bought project box, and this is the one I built the weekend before in a completely 3D printed box. Notice the size difference. This does have a massively bigger battery in it, admittedly. This is a 2200 milliamp hour LiPo, and this is a 1300. So there we go. But yeah, yeah, I know a few of you guys did actually watch on Sunday. Keith being one there. Fair few other guys, very boring, who watched. But yeah, it was fun. I might do more stuff like that, not necessarily a build, but maybe on a Sunday I might sit up here and do some coiling or something. I might just turn the stream on. What do you reckon, Rid? You ever fancy doing something like that, or?
Yeah, could be a coil along thing.
Yeah. Just something to do really on a Sunday afternoon for a couple of hours. Just sit there, hang out, chat to chat, that sort of thing, and just take it easy, like, just
watch me epically fail at simple things.
Well, we all do that. So I mean, for example, I could sit and do a coil, and I put it on a review, and it looks like a nice coil. What you don't see is about the 5 or 6 attempts of making that nice coil in the first place. So sort of think of it as a VCTV uncut or something, it's just candid sort of. I don't. But it's
including the outtakes.
Yeah, it's just something to do. Maybe I'm not gonna promise anything. It's not going to be a regular thing, but every now and again, something to do. Trevor G says we could watch the 3D printer creating. No, you don't want to, really. I mean, this box, right? And the sled, which is here, and the buttons, all took in total around about 9 to 10 hours to print out. You wouldn't want to be sitting there watching that. I think
just press go and just leave it.
Oh, good God, no! That would just be ridiculous. Right, we're going to take the ad break, and then after the ad break, we've got a bit of a long VT. So, see you in a moment.
Often imitated, never duplicated. Award-winning service and products from cloud9vaping.co.uk.
Dripper selection boxes now come in 0 and 3mg strengths. So tell Dripper the kind of flavours you like and we'll send you 70ml of some of the world's most exciting flavours every month. With free delivery anywhere in Europe, treat yourself to a Dripper box today.
Dripper.co.uk.
Hello, right, we are back. So I'm going to crack on now this VT. Now this VT concerns, and it's quite in-depth, right? It's quite apt because today's Windows 10 day, so this is quite sort of computery. But it's an in-depth look at the software that is, it's not required for use of the DNA 200, but it's a companion of, and there's a lot of stuff you can do with it. Consequently, this is nearly 27 minutes long, so get the kettle on.
Hello and welcome to the Evolve escribe software. Now this is going to be a fairly in-depth look at the software. Now this is used for programming and monitoring your DNA 200 device. Okay, so let's crack on. Let's start with the file menu. Here we've got the new, which is reset to Evolve standard. We can save out settings here. So if I was to save all this, then that will be my standard, for example. Edit, undo, redos, that sort of thing. Internet, I'm not going to click on because that's got my personal email address on it, but you use that to you register on the Evolve website, and then you can use it to send diagnostic information and that sort of thing to Evolve. Options, well, that's automatically checked for updates, and basically the firmware updates and the escribe updates come bundled as one. So down here, if there's an update, you get this little yellow ribbon thing appearing. You just click on update now, it installs it. Next time you click a device, it prompts you to update the firmware. It's that simple, really. Tools here, we've got several things. There's a calculator there, so 2 plus 2, yeah, 4, that sort of thing, yeah. Production utility. Now I can save things out and that sort of stuff, but I could put in their model names, so Matt's DNA 200, yeah. The firmware file I'd like to be using for production. The settings files, which I've created from the file menu back up top here. I can do certain tests before it goes out, that sort of thing, but I'm not interested in that really. Serial terminal. We'll cover that a bit later on. That's real nerdgasm. System information, that brings up system information of the PC this is running on. And at this point, I'd like to point out, this only runs on PCs, not on Macs or Linux. Evolve have promised, apparently, a version for OS 10, but, well, that's not forthcoming just yet. I can reboot the device. There's a hard or soft reboot. I can show the serial number. I'll do that now. There we are. That's the serial number of my device. I don't really care. I'm not going to do that. Update firmware will take me to a browsing menu to manually update, but I'm not going to worry about that. Useful if you want to roll back firmwares, that sort of thing. Okay, so let's have a look at the general tab here. So get information. Let's give that a click. That tells me my board was manufactured by Evolve. This could probably all be changed. So if I had a VaporShark, that would probably say VaporShark there. Yeah, if I had a HANA mods, that would probably say HANA. It's a DNA. Again, that might say RDNA 200 or something if it's a VaporShark. I'm speculating at this point. And when the board was programmed. Now, what we've got here, we've got 8 profiles. So what you do is you use this utility to set up the profiles, and then you can select the profiles when using the mod. You don't have to have the device connected to a computer in order to select the profiles when you're using it. So I've set one up here called default DNA. I've put a little custom graphic on, which you just import. You just create in the graphics editor. It's just got a little thumbs up and default, it knocks them out pretty quick. So what I've done here on this profile, so the default power on this profile, so every time I select this profile, this is what's going to apply. It's going to be 50 watts at 450 degrees Fahrenheit. It's going to be a nickel 200 coil. The preheat power is going to be 200 watts. It's going to hit at, let's put it at 5. And the preheat time limit is going to be 1 second. So let's just go over these settings slightly. Preheat power basically means, so these tie in together very closely. It's going to attempt to put 200, and use attempt. If it hits the 450 degrees temperature limit, it will back off at whatever point it applies, hits that limit. And it's going to apply that for a maximum of 1 second. So within 1 second, it's going to attempt to put 200 watts into the coil. Okay, now this basically means how aggressive it's going to do it. So I've set it at a default of 5. If I did it hard, it's going to quickly ramp up to 200 watts. Where at the soft level of 1, this goes from 1 to 11, by the way. It's a very Spinal Tap. At 1, it's going to be a bit more lazy about it. Okay, so that's what that means. Atomizer and analyzer. Cool. You say that a few times when you've had a few jars. This is basically a live reading of what's connected to the device. So I've got nickel coils on there, and it is 0.281 at the moment, and it says there nominal ohms 0.281 if it's CAN full, or 0.278 if it's temperature control. Cold ohms, it doesn't really know. Room temperature, well, that's a guesstimate because that's the default setting, but yeah, let's not worry about that now. I've set another profile now called titanium. And this is the beauty of this. You can actually program this to the temperature coefficient of whatever wires you're using. You've only got 2 choices here on the core material. I don't know if that's ever going to change in the future release of the software. But so I can choose nickel 200 or custom. So what I've done here, if I click on this link here, that would prompt me to go to the Steam Machine website, where there is a page on there where I can generate TCR graphs, or temperature coefficient resistance of, I forget what it's called now, but and so I could, for example, have a titanium coil wire with a nickel Clapton coil wrapped around it, and then I could program all that in and then generate this curve. I could, I'm not going to do it on this profile here. Let's go to, we call this demo. Okay, 70 watts, so say 80 watts, 500, let's say 500, yeah. And let's set this to custom. What you can do here, you can do all sorts of things. You can move stuff up and down. Yeah, so curve must be strictly increasing, which it isn't. So So basically, you can't go up and down like a roller coaster. You need to. There we are. So now I was happy about it. Okay, but yeah, not too worried about all that. So move, resize, split. So I can. There's so much you can do here. Yeah. Not that I really understand that much, to be honest. So I leave that pretty much as is. But yeah, that's a profile. So I could upload all that now, and that's now uploading to the mod. So that's the third profile I could select. I probably wouldn't want to use this one because I think it's going to work very well. Yeah. So let's move on now. And let's say 8 of these I can play with. In fact, if I just set that as default. Yeah, it's going to stay there, isn't it? What's special do? Temperature coefficient of resistance. Oh, that's what it means. Oh, okay. So, yeah. No, I'm not going to mess about with that. Theme. Right, what I can do here, I can save and load a theme or have a default theme, which this is the default theme. So, we've got the welcome screen there, so when you power the device on, that's what will be displayed. So it'll say Evolve DNA 200, and these are graphics, so you can change these out. Secondary, I presume that would, I've not actually tested, but I presume you can put a graphic in there to display after that. So I could, for example, say match DNA 200 and then powered by Evolve of that, I suppose. And this is all the screens. Some of these, if you're a DNA 40 user, will be quite familiar. So you'll see that. A few different ones here we've got now: Imbalance Battery and Return to Researcher, and Canfor Max Power. These are new to the DNA 200, but you can change all of these out. The capture button means that it will capture what's being displayed on the device's screen at that time. Or you can say load a graphic here. So that's the one that actually came with the board from the box, because it came from Stealth Vape, and that's one I made myself. So if I selected that, there we go. So when I turn it on, I'll get a little VTTV logo and the cave. That's quite pleasing. So let's upload that. But yeah, you can change all that. And here we got two options: to show message or don't show. So, you know, I might not care that I've reached the maximum power that I've set for Canfor, so I don't want to show it. Again, I might not care that I'm temperature protected, so I might choose not to show it, or I can show the temperature instead. Screen. So we can do the orientation left and right, which you can do on the mod anyway. The battery meter is on default screens. That is by default, or on main screen only, on all screens if I so wish. Error flashes, so if I hit the temperature limit, it will flash 3 times, and then that's the duration it would do it for. Right, so these are the default fields. Now, if you're familiar with the DNA 40 layout, this is identical. So at the top left-hand side, let's ignore the big watts thing at the moment. So at the top left-hand side, let's ignore the big watts thing at the moment that takes up most of the display, but it will show. So it will show the ohms, the voltage required to produce those, and wattage. Oh, you know, I'm getting myself in a muddle here, and it's 7 o'clock in the morning. Let's start again. So it will show the ohms of the coil connected, or the atomizer connected. It will show the voltage being applied when you're firing it, and it will show the temperature you've got set, or what is currently live. Yeah. When you've got it plugged into a charger, it will show the ohms, the USB current, and the temperature. You can change all this to whatever you like. So I might choose to say, when I'm charging it, I want to see what the power, the voltage level of each individual cell is. Okay. Or I just want to see what the battery pack is, and let's say how much USB power is being applied, and I want to see what the temperature of the board is. Yeah, or I can set these up as, they handily put standard in brackets next to the default ones, so you can't really mess it up. Right, so we got here the brightness of the screen. So when you're firing it, it will fade to 100% brightness. So basically, you know, when you fire a DNA 40, it lights up. Yeah, I could change that. I could say 50%, 40, 70, whatever. After taking a drag on it, screen active after puff, or I could say screen off afterwards, so straight away it just turns off, or no effects on the idle state, so it's whatever it is when you picked it up. Yeah. So active brightness is 100%, idle brightness is 63%, charging brightness, it's going to go off. So it's active for 6 seconds, it's idle after 60 seconds, the fade in time is 1/4 of a second, and the fade out time is 8 seconds. Let's go to mod. So here we can see that it is a lithium polymer cell, or battery, sorry, 3 lithium polymer cells. If I had a LiFePO 4, I could change it to that, or if it's connected up to a permanent power supply, I could change it to that. The last two do not apply. The watt-hour calculator. So it prompts me here, do I know the total voltage of your battery pack? This is typically printed on it. Well, yes, I do. It is 2200, and it is 11.1. And the nominal voltage. Click on that, it will tell me your battery has a capacity of 24.42 watt hours. Use this value. Yes, please. And there it goes. The cell soft cutoff, not soft cell, so yeah, it's not a sex dwarf. Maybe someone will get that. But anyway, you can change this to 3.09 volts, and so what that means, if any of the 3 cells reaches 3.09 volts, or indeed lower, it will not fire until all 3 cells are at least that. Okay. Charging mode, maximize plus, maximize recharges. I'm not entirely sure what that does, so I'm going to leave that alone. Charging profile, you can edit that much like you did with the wire. Or I could do a battery analyzer, which basically promised me that I need to have a resistor on the connected to it that can handle the power I choose. So in this case, I'd need to have a resistor that will quite happily accept 40 watts of power for the hour or two it's going to take to generate this curve. I do not have such a thing connected, so I'm cancelling that pretty quickly. Okay, but what that will do, that will then generate, apparently it takes an hour or so to actually do it, and it'll generate a nice curve for us, and you can save that out and that sort of thing. So can-full power limit. So currently this is set to 100 watts limit. So if I was to put a straight can-full coil on here, I could not fire this any higher than 100 watts. Now, of course, I can change that up to 200 if I so choose, but I'm leaving that as it is for the time being. The mod resistance. So what you can do, you can measure, you can get your multimeters out and you can measure the resistance of the wires between the board and the 510 connector, all this sort of thing. Take that into account and pop that in there so you get an absolutely accurate reading of your atomizer. Of course, this really is aimed at proper manufacturers. I could sit there and meter it all out, but frankly, I can't be bothered. It's working fine for me. The ohm lock range. Now, we've all seen the new ohms or new coil up, down, no, yes, left, right, that sort of thing. Yeah. Basically, what that means is if the coil is within 25% of the previous coil, then it's not entirely sure, so it's going to prompt you. Okay, that's what that means. Now, this is new. Mechanical up and down buttons. So once you change the orientation of the screen left and right, you can actually choose the orientation of the buttons as well. So if I was to choose the left-handed mode and I want the up button to suddenly become the down button, I can choose that. Then you've got thermal profiles and things here. So you use case USB. So basically, how much would the case heat up when it's charging USB? What's the room temperature? What's the maximum minimum ambient temperature you can fire at? All this sort of thing. I'm leaving it as it is. Research. So what you can do in research mode is you can have it pump data out through serial or into a CSV format. It can set the core resistance to be automatic or locked, so it will only work with a core VAT resistance. Yeah. The power I can lock it at, say, 10 to 20 watts or 20 to 20. So the subject, this is primarily used for people like Dr. Fostinos, which I presume is really what this is aimed at. So basically they can say, yes, you can adjust the temperature, but only between 10 and 20 watts, or you ain't adjusting the temperature, the power, sorry. You're not adjusting the power at all. So you can either have, say, you could have a range of, you can select your power to 10 to 50 watts, and you can choose what you're comfortable between those. Or you're only vaping at 50 watts, and that's, you know, so there we go. Temperature limit, again, very similar to the power. Set it to 300 to 600 degrees Fahrenheit or Celsius. Yeah, so very similar to power, so you can, or configurable, yeah. A puff limit, so I can enable that. You can have a maximum of 20 puffs, yeah. Energy limit, so that is in joules. And time limit, so each puff would be however many seconds. And then you can apply and break and check a research seal. So that's quite nice. So it gives some validity to tests there. Anyway, that's all of that bit covered. Let's have a device monitor. This is where things get very interesting, at least for me. So what you can see there, we can see my my battery pack is currently running at 11.9192 volts. It's on the cusp of charging over there. And you can see the cells are currently sitting at a nice balanced 3.97 volts a piece. You will see, and I have spent some time looking at this, just watching it charge. It charges one cell, then another cell, then another cell. It just goes through 0.1 volt every time, and it just keeps going through until we'll reach, you know, the maximum charge. You can see there the amount of current it's drawing from my USB connector. It is capable of drawing 1 amp. Now it seems my laptop is only capable of outputting half an amp, so that's why you're seeing that. But this is what most people are going to be interested in, so let's do this. He says getting the mod ready in his hand. Okay, so let's just have a drag and we'll see what happens. Things will appear. There we go. Let's just pause that. So what we can see here, this green line is the amount of power that was applied. Okay, this red line is the temperature that happened. This doesn't make an awful lot of sense unless I hit the temperature set and power set. Let's unpause that. So keep an eye on this line here. So that is the ceiling of temperature. This is the ceiling of power. Right, so what do we see here? We see the preheat kicking in. Okay, that's what that happened there. As soon as I pressed that fire button, the preheat kicked in and took it right up to 450 degrees Fahrenheit. Okay, and then, well, it didn't take it right up, but it basically, well, you see what happened here. It's getting to the point where this is climbing up a bit high. It hit its time limit, and then dropped back down to 50 watts of power. In the meantime, the temperature is climbing. That would help if I took a vape with that not being paused, wouldn't it? Right, so this will be a high temperature now because I've taken a few draws on it, so the core temperature has increased. And that's about as long a draw as I could really take there. This is a 30-second time scale, yeah? So this is probably about 3 or 4 seconds. In fact, you can't select time, can you? Oh, you can. There we go. This will be interesting. There we go. Right. My call's getting a bit dry, actually. So you can see there, it was climbing. It never, at no point did it ever hit the 450 degree temperature limit that I put in, which might be beneficial if I was to set temperature, which you can do here. So let's set that to 400. In fact, what I'm going to close it. I'm going to connect another device actually, just because, and I figure you guys might want to see this. So I'm connecting the. This is the mod that I made on the live stream on Sunday. Yep, and I've called it live stream. You can rename it here. Okay, when you connect it, you can hit the rename. So I've not set any profiles on this at all. This is as default. Okay, let's go back to device monitor. So we can see here, and I've got a sub tank on here. I've got it set for 25 watts and at 500 degrees Fahrenheit. Sorry, a bit of indigestion. So let's have a look at all this. Let's leave the battery pack power there as well. So that black line, keep an eye on that because that is your battery sack basically. This again is the temperature ceiling. This is the power ceiling. So you can see there, it basically applied 25.02 watts of power. Okay, the 0.02, yeah, whatever. So that was basically a cold coil. Let's try it again. It's climbing, but I'm not hitting the temperature limit. Let's set the temperature now to 400 degrees Fahrenheit. Yeah, I can choose Celsius there if I like as well. But see, that's just instantly dropped. So there, that gives us a good picture. So we can see that it's reached 399 degrees Fahrenheit, 490 degrees 0.90 at that point. You can see there it was over ever so slightly. You can see where it hit the ceiling, it backed the power off. Yeah, and at the end of it, when I was in order to keep me at 400 degrees Fahrenheit, it was actually applying 13, well, I'll call it 14 watts, shall we, in order to keep that temperature limit. Okay, so what it will do, it's a bit more advanced than the DNA40 where it does stop. This one actually just lets you keep going, but it just backs the power off. So now let's change the temperature to 450. That's raised up again. So there we can see that that's pretty much bang on. In order to keep it at 450 degrees, 25 watts seems to be adequate for this coil. So it's let me keep the wattage. Now I could set the power. I want that, say 30 watts. That's raised up now, yeah. So we can see here, let's pause that again, that is actually, because I've set the temperature limit the same, I kept that the same, it's actually backed off. So it raised up to the full 30, but as soon as it hit the temperature limit, it backed it off. So in order to keep it at 450 degrees Fahrenheit, it's actually, again, giving me 25 watts of power, thereabouts, yeah. Let's have a look at the live ohms and the cold ohms. So you can actually see here the resistance of the coil changing as I take in a draw. So what that's doing here, that's the base cold ohms, yeah. And so this is the live ohms. So you can see there the actual resistance increased the more power that's put into the coil. So you can really go in depth with this stuff, and there's stuff down here as well, that how much energy is being consumed by the last puff. So that was 19.08 watt hours, standard deviations, this sort of thing. You can really go in depth on that, but yeah, that's pretty much that. So let's just show you one final thing, and this is a real nerdgasm time here. Serial terminal. You can script this thing. So if I was typing P equals get SP, that shows me how much, what the power is set for. If I set T equals get SP, that is the temperature set for. Right, so I can now change that to P equals 25. Yeah, now I've changed P equals get SP. Why isn't that working? P equals 20. P equals set 25, I think. So P equals get SP. Oh, you know what? I can't remember the command, but yeah, basically type stuff in there and you can set things up. I'm sure P equals 25 is correct. No, okay, whatever. Oh, hang on. Do I have to put in 25W? Yeah, that's it. Right, okay, so and I can put in T equals, what did I have it set for? 450, so 400 F. And T equals get, so there we go. That's now changed that to that. So if I go into the device monitor again, you actually see these values are now changed to what I just set it to in the terminal. So yeah, that's a bit of a nerdgasm there. It's not something you need to use, but I like that sort of thing. So there we go. That is a look at the escribe software, and back over to me in the studio, I think. See, these values are now changed to what I just set it to in the terminal. So yeah, that's a bit of a nerdgasm there. It's not something you need to use, but I like that sort of thing. So there we go. That is a look at the escribe software, and back over to me in the studio, I think.
Joytech UK are proud sponsors of VapeTrails.tv.
LP Vape, UK purveyor of e-cigarettes and e-liquids. Proud sponsors of vaping entertainment on Vapor Trails TV.
And we're back. So yeah, apologies for the long video, but it's quite an in-depth subject, so kind of figured it needed the full Monty there. Apparently, B wishes it make tea in the morning. So do I, actually. It'd be really nice. What do you make of all that, Rid?
I thought that was the real-time data plotting on the graph was just ridiculously clever, and it completely takes the customization of vaping to a different level.
Yeah. Now, I must stress as well that software is in no way required to use a DNA 200. I would, and I don't know this is certain. This is speculation, but I would imagine, say, VaporShark would release their DNA 200 mod. They would put a profile in it for, say, titanium wire. Yeah, they might even release a tank. They put a profile in it for that tank. So, I don't know exactly. But it's not required in order to use the device at all. One of the things I take two things away from the purpose of the software in its reality. One, it's for vendors to fine-tune their mods they're making. Two, it's for researchers. What you didn't see in that video, because, well, that would probably take another half an hour. All of that real-time data can be outputted into raw text or CSV format. If you put it in a CSV format, you can then start building graphs in Excel with it. Things like that. So if you're Dr. Farsalinos, you can get some really, really accurate research data. That's what I really take from this software. And what do you make of that sort of feature, Rid?
Yeah, that's exactly what researchers on e-cigs need. Because with all this bump about specific temperatures producing specific harmful chemicals, then you can actually go, well, it hits that temperature exactly every time.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the whole reason. Well, one of the reasons behind temperature protection, anyway.
Yes, and there's also the fact that you can actually program it so it'll always be set at a certain temperature. It'll always be the same duration of puff. You'll always limit it to the same amount of puffs. That sort of thing. You know, there's so much you can do with that, and you know, that's kind of beyond the scope for a normal user, unless you're particularly curious. But the one thing, it will only record that data if it's plugged into a device, into a PC. It won't store all that data on the board and then you can download it later. It won't do that. There's no real storage on it.
So you can't. Sorry, Matt. So you can't do that for any other device. Only a DNA 200 board device.
That is correct. There is the first two EVICs, the EVIC and the EVIC Supreme, had a fairly similar feature-ish. What that would do, that would record the number of puffs, the resistance of the coil, and the power and voltage applied, and that would store it in the device. You could just connect it to your PC and just suck the data in, and that would be there. But whilst that was overkill for most people anyway, and to be fair, I played with that little feature for a few weeks and then never bothered with it again. You know, this goes beyond that. I'm hoping to have a chat with Evolve, specifically Brandon, at some point. Maybe even get him on the show, see what he goes back with. Just to really firm up what the purpose of the software is and where it's really aimed. Because at the moment, DNA 200 mods aren't really on general sale. That's still considered early adopters / beta-y sort of thing. It's only really enthusiasts like me, however, that are building these mods and actually using them. As I said at the top of the show, I think Opus just released a mod now. I think one's coming out from China, actually. It's using a genuine board. That has been confirmed by Evolve, and I think the pricing is actually quite reasonable. So I was just reading about that on UKV the other day. So yeah, it's all good stuff.
Would you have thought that this sort of software would have been used in the refining of the DNA 40 then?
I would presume so. Something very similar. Obviously, they're not going to just etch some chips and just whack on a board and be done with it. They're going to be using similar sort of things to, to test things and check the power inputs, outputs, that sort of thing, and if it's performing properly. They've got to program how nickel wire would react to this sort of thing into it. So, and that's obviously going to be done. They would have some sort of test bed set up to do that. No question. And prototyping, that sort of thing. Keith says, if you want a DNA 200, Matt will sell you one for lots of money. I'm not selling mine. I like mine. I made them. If you watch Sunday's stream, you'll see the pain I went through to make one of them. It's good fun, though.
Sweat and tears, but no blood, I believe.
No blood, actually. I didn't cut my fingers off. I didn't burn myself. I did swear once, I think. At least it was audible to the microphone once. There was a few under my breath ones, which I don't think actually came out on the stream. But
no blood. Some of us will be disappointed.
Yeah. So you could look at it as 2 levels. I mean, let's actually have a play with the thing, because I've not done much vaping on it, have I really? This is set up for a titanium coil, and as I said last week, very briefly, I programmed the values in for titanium, and it's currently at 60 watts and at 400 degrees Fahrenheit, which is quite low for me actually. But yeah, that's outputting quite nicely. I mean, I can crank that right up. Do you want the 200 watts?
Don't be daft. Or will it not go up to 200 watts?
Well, that's the thing. Hang on. It is at 200 watts. Right, just for you there, Rid.
Okay.
It gets hotter a lot quicker, but, and I've used the handy graphs for this, it doesn't actually reach 200 watts. The temperature control kicks in first. So I have tested that. So whilst you attempt to put the 200 watts in it, it won't. If you turn the temperature control off, it probably would, but yeah, I'm not going to do that. When it comes to usage of the... Sorry, Rid.
So you can switch the TC mode off then by using the escribe software?
No, you can do it using the... you can do it on the DNA 40, did you not know?
No, because I'm still a child and...
What you do is... when it's in Fahrenheit mode, if you scroll up, it loops round to centigrade, yeah, on the newer versions.
Yeah.
When you're in Fahrenheit mode, if you scroll down, it turns the temperature control off.
Ah.
Yeah. This is exactly the same.
I'm probably not even going to attempt doing that.
No, I never have, to be fair, but you can do it. I'm just going to refill my Atty because that blast kind of dried it out a bit. Yeah, in regards to actual usage of the mod when you're out and about, or the board, should we say, because the mod's kind of irrelevant. It's basically used exactly the same as you would a DNA 40. You change the temperature in the same way, you change the wattage in the same way, you lock it the same way, you change the orientation left and right the same way. The only extra feature is if you press it up and down at the same time. I've just filled my Atty up, so it's probably a bad idea to tip it on its side. If you press the temperature, the plus and minus at the same time, it locks the temperature. When you're at that point, if you double tap the plus button, you can then scroll through the profiles. So that's the only added feature.
That's actually quite beneficial because so you can essentially lock the watts in and lock the temperature in as well.
Yes. Which you could do on the DNA 40 as well.
Yeah, I've done that. And that's always a beneficial feature when you've got it in your pocket and you don't really want your watts to go. Well,
what I do with my this goes in my pocket every day because it fits in my pocket quite nicely. I just lock the device. I just press it 5 times and then just put it in my pocket. That's all I do. But yeah, so in general usage terms, the DNA 200 is no different at all from a DNA 40. But I do find it outputs better than a DNA 40 does. If that kind of makes sense. It's that preheat thing. That's what it does. It just chucks a load of power at the coil just to get it hot, and then away you go. I'm not entirely sure if Ridian's frozen there.
No, I'm playing with my DNA 40.
Oh, right, okay. So yeah, in general usage, it's the same really. You know, of course, and I've been asked this before recently. Why do you need 200 watts? I don't. But it's nice to have them if I ever fancy it. But the chief benefit of all this is not the fact that we're going to 200 watts. And as I said before, I think it's basically more of a case of everyone's moaning about the DNA 40. Oh, only 40 watts. Well, we've all gone around, turned around and said, oh, so you want some watts then, do you? Right, okay. Have some bloody watts. But the chief benefit is the fact that it's really designed for LiPo batteries. And LiPo batteries have a far better lifespan than the 18650s we're using. There's much less battery sag. I mean, there's almost none. There is some, of course. You saw it in the graph. But it's only like 0.2 or 3 volts as opposed to like 1 or 2 volts on an 18650. So your battery life is better. Even a 1000 milliamp hour LiPo pack is going to outlast a 2200 milliamp 18650. Basically.
Yeah.
So that's the real big benefit of this. Yeah, so there we go. It's time to wrap up, Rid.
Is it?
Yeah, it's 59 already. Right, so everybody, I need you to stay tuned tomorrow night because there is going to be a show. And I'll say no more, but keep an eye on social media and all that stuff, whatever. But there will be a show tomorrow night. It's not going to be Dave Dawn. It's going to be someone else. So that'll be fun. Something to look forward to. And one other thing, I'd actually like to ask everybody to do a favour. For this show and every other show that you ever watch on Vapor Trails TV, would you please, very kindly, get your mouse pointers now and hover over the live video, and at the top you will see a little thumbs up icon. Would you please click on it for us? Just an experiment, really. I would like to see if... just to see how many people actually like. I know everyone loves the shows and this sort of thing, and everyone says great show, that sort of thing. But please, just do this little experiment. Just click the little thumbs up, or if you really don't like it, click the thumbs down. I'm not begging for likes and dislikes here, but it's just something I'd like to see what happens, and not just for this show, but for tomorrow's show, for Marco's show next Tuesday, and so on and so forth. So that's my little plea to you guys. Would you just do that for us? Is that cheesy enough? Ah, lovely stuff. Right, anyway, we better go. So stay tuned tomorrow night and there will be something for you to enjoy. So until next week, it's good night from me and it's good night from him.
No star. Whatever.
Alright, we'll see you next week.
Joytech UK are proud sponsors of vapetrails.tv.